Thanks so much for joining me on this lesson where we're going through easy version of G Gracenote. And this is an important version of G Gracenote. It does happen a lot in tunes whenever we have two notes, two of the same note beside each other, for example, two Ds, and we need to separate them with something. We often do a grace note, a G Gracenote. So we're doing the G Gracenote, but we're not actually transitioning anywhere with it. So this is a little different than our traditional G Gracenote scale, where we use that G Gracenote to transition the notes up the scale. So that, I'm going to walk through that in future lessons, but this lesson we're doing the easy version of the G Gracenote scale. And in future lessons in this workshop, this beginner's workshop, I will show you the Amazing Grace with both versions, just doing the easy Gracenote version in Amazing Grace, as well as the adding in those more challenging grace notes where we're actually transitioning from note to note with the G Gracenote. So all that's in the workshop. If you're in the workshop, great! So thanks so much for joining me. If not, you can click on the link below to access all the workshop videos of my beginner workshop, beginner bagpiper workshop. So here we go. So we're on the low G. All the fingers are covering the holes. If you're not sure what low G is, or you're a little bit uncomfortable with the scale, you know, hop back to some of my earlier free lessons where I cover the scale. So here we are on low G. Our G Gracenote is top finger of the top hand, comes up and comes down. That's our Gracenote. So that's our Gracenote, and we're going to play a Gracenote, then we're going to go up, one finger up on the bottom hand onto the low A, and then we'll do another G Gracenote. And then we're going to do the same, we're going to work our way up the scale with this. So next is the B, lifting the ring finger of the bottom hand, and then another G Gracenote. Next will be the C, we drop the pinky, lift both middle fingers of the bottom hand, and then another G Gracenote up and down, top finger of the top hand. And then our last bottom hand note, the D, we're going to lift up the last finger, the top finger of the bottom hand, pinky stays on its hole, and then we do our up and down with our G Gracenote finger. And now the big move, the tricky transition from D to E, we worked on in previous videos. So we're dropping all the fingers of the bottom hand, lifting up the pinky and lifting up the ring finger. After doing all that, and before, we're going to do that G Gracenote, top finger of the top hand, up and down. After that E, we're going to go to F, and then that's just lifting up the middle finger of the top hand, and then we do another G Gracenote. And important to note here, when we do that G Gracenote from the F position, our only finger that'll be on the chanter of the top hand for a moment is the thumb on the back, because that top finger is lifting off and the other two fingers are already off. So it might feel a little bit awkward until you get used to having that chanter secure in your hands, and that just takes time. But I do have some positioning tips on that in earlier lessons if you want to check that out. So here's what that sounds like going all the way up to the F. Now for the G, we're going to do something a little different. So after we go up to the G, we can't do a G Gracenote with that top finger because it's already off the hole. So we're going to get that Gracenote sound by using the thumb on the back. The thumb's going to come off the back and back on. And now it's not swiping down like we do on the high A position in a moment. It's coming off, directly off and back down. So just that kind of up and down movement. It's coming off and it's coming back down onto the hole. So you see it's just that quick up and down movement with the thumb. And last but not least, after doing that, we'll go to high A, and after we're on high A, we can't do the grace note with the top finger. We can't, do that up and down movement with the thumb very easily, because now we have our ring finger on and it's just kind of awkward. So instead we do just a high A strick. So we're just swiping down to cover the hole for a moment, and it's just that swipe across the hole. We're not really holding it on that hole at all, it's just a swipe across. Good job. So work on that, and you can also go all the way up. You can also come all the way down. It might blow your brain a little bit the first few times you try coming down the scale, but stick with it, and I'll play it here in a moment where you can follow along. I'll keep it nice and slow. You can follow along. You can pause the video and re-listen, and just get comfortable. It's good to get a little bit more comfortable with the scale. It's good to get comfortable with that G Gracenote finger coming into play. It's going to take a while. It's normal for it to take a while for that G Gracenote to do its thing without, 3 or 4 other fingers on your hands also wanting to jump up or move. It takes a while for the brain to differentiate and get just one finger to do its job without all these other fingers having a little spaz or freak out. So stick with it, keep at it, and you're going to get it. We're going to cover some more things in the workshop. We're going to cover strikes. We're going to do the easy version of Amazing Grace with easy embellishments, strikes, and easy grace notes. And then we'll go into the harder stuff like D throws, our standard grace notes with that note transition, and then finally doublings, and then finally the Amazing Grace with all the embellishments thrown in. So I've really broken it down into different lessons in this workshop. So excited you've joined me. And if you're just checking out this video on YouTube and you're more interested in the workshop, again, the link's below. And I'll just play through that once more, nice and slow, all the way up and all the way down. Good luck with that, and I'll see you in the next lesson.